Today's tutorial is going to be on cleansing with sage. And you might ask yourself, why do I need to cleanse with sage? Or what's the reasoning behind cleansing with sage? It's been around on the planet forever, and when I first started practicing shamanism, one of the first things we learned was how to smudge or cleanse yourself with sage. And when I was doing it and I'm smelling the sage, it brought me back to almost another lifetime. It just grounds you. It has a way of grounding you. It cleanses your space. You can cleanse if you have somebody that's sick in the house with a cold or the flu. You can use sage to cleanse the space. It can kill germs. Not only germs, but it just has a way of grounding you. And when you're doing shamanic work, especially, you want to always cleanse yourself, ground yourself before you do any of the work. Gets rid of the ego, gets rid of the mind and all those thoughts, and kind of just brings you right down. So I'm going to start with just a basic, easy cleanse. And then after I show you the basics and you learn that real good, then you can kind of explore a little bit more with it. So the first thing you want is a bowl. Now, you can use any kind of bowl. You know, if you use a metal bowl, it might get hot on the bottom when you're trying to hold it and such. The shell bowls are beautiful. And one of the reasons I like to use the shell is because it brings the element of water into your work. And then, of course, you have the element of earth with the sage in your work. And then you're going to have the element of fire when you light the sage. And then the smoke is going to be the element of air. So you have all the elements working for you. Now, a lot of people like to just use a smudge stick. You can get these pretty much anywhere. Sometimes Whole Foods or some of the more natural grocery stores sells them. Every time my husband and I head down to New Mexico, I get a bunch of them down there because I just like them. They have a really good selection down there in New Mexico. And a lot of people will just, you know, if you have a big enough bowl, and I recommend if you're going to burn with a smudge stick, that you have a large bowl with sand or something in it so that you can keep the smudge stick in there. So, because the problem with using a smudge stick is they have a tendency to, sometimes they don't go all the way out. And so you might have a cinder in the center of this smudge stick that's still going to be burning when you think it's out. I don't need that much sage. You know, when you're cleansing just to prepare yourself for work or something, it doesn't really take that long, and it doesn't take a lot of sage to do it. So I prefer using the smudge stick, but then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grind it, just kind of go like this, and you can see that the sage is just landing in the bowl. Okay. So I like to just put a small, you don't need a lot. And then what I love to do, another reason I like to do this technique is because then I can just grind it up with my fingers. And not only does it smells wonderful. But you can kind of at this time, you know, bring your mind and your thoughts down into your center, into your heart space, and just kind of pull your energy down into this space here. A lot of times I'll sing the morning sun song when I'm doing this, because I cleanse every day. I cleanse every morning. It just grounds me. I can do my meditation and my prayer in the morning after I cleanse. Some people prefer to cleanse at night before they go to bed. Kind of cleanses their whole day away, the stress of their day away. I've heard that it really makes your dreams more clear and stuff. So I think, you know, if you're just learning how, just starting out, I would try it at different times. When do you have time to do it? Do you want to do it in the morning before you go to work? When you come home after you go from work? I work at home, so I have the whole day to pretty much do as I wish. So I like to do it in the morning. I'll do my yoga. I'll do a cleanse. It's just a great way to start my day. I do it outside when weather permits and when it's not dry. Anymore, I'm just afraid to go outside and burn sage. I don't want to start the woods on fire. So many fires and as dry as it has been. So I just grind it, and then what I can do is with my fingers, I just put it into like a cone. I don't know if you can see that, but the sage, it's real, you can just move it around. And so I put it into a tip, into a cone. And then, you know, I'm down into my heart space, and I'm giving gratitude to the water elements and spirits for giving us this beautiful shell, thanking the Mother Earth for giving us the beautiful sage, and thanking fire for giving us this beautiful flame. And you're just lighting the tip of that. And really, that's all you need to do. And then thanking air for giving us this beautiful smoke, the beautiful cleansing. And it will, because it's in a cone shape, it's just going to burn down. Now, that doesn't mean that at some point I don't gather the sage and try to keep it in that cone. But the smoke is just going to come. You don't need a lot of smoke, just a little bit. There's some days when I light it and just billowing, and I go, well, I must need a lot of cleansing today because it's just really intense. And then there's other days when I have a hard time getting it lit, and I'm like, well, okay, maybe I don't need that much of a cleansing. So the smoke is doing the job. The thing about the cleansing, when you're cleansing for shamanic work and stuff, it's about getting out of here, the mind, and getting yourself grounded and centered into your center, into your heart space. Because you're allowing the spirits to do the work. The spirits are the ones that are doing the cleansing. Sure, it has a lot to do with your intention and so forth, but you don't want to use the ego to decide where the cleansing needs to go. You want to open yourself up to the spirits and to just letting the smoke and all of the elements do the job of the cleansing. So you don't want to put too much mind into it. So you're emptying your mind. It's not what you think you need. Oh, I got a stomach ache. Well, I guess intentionally you could, once you learn the basics, you could focus it on, oh, I need to cleanse my stomach, it hurts. But when you're first starting out with the cleansing, I want you to just cleanse your mind and allow the spirits to let the cleanse go where it needs to go. So we have our smudging right in front of us, and the first place we're going to start is with our hands. And think of the smoke as water in a way, like when you wash your hands under the sink and the water's pouring out and you're rubbing it, you're doing the same thing with the smoke. And I'm going to say the intention out loud so that you know, but normally when I'm doing this, I'm just kind of saying it to myself. I'm allowing the smoke to cleanse my hands of any ill will or anything that doesn't serve them anymore. Okay? So just let your mind be open, and you're focusing your intention on allowing the cleansing of ill will or anything that doesn't serve them anymore. Okay? So we're just cleansing our hands. And then we're going to lift it up and cleanse our arms, especially under the armpits area, of any ill will or anything that doesn't serve us anymore. And then we'll go over and do the other arm, cleansing this arm of any ill will or anything that doesn't serve us anymore. And now we cleanse our head. So I like to bring the smoke up, cleansing our mind and our head of any ill will or anything that doesn't serve us anymore. And I'll actually bring it up, just really cleansing our mind. I think that's the place that needs the most work, right? Where all our thoughts are going around, and we're deciding what we need to cleanse when really we need to just allow it to happen. And then we cleanse, then we go down to our heart space, cleansing our hearts of any ill will or anything that doesn't serve that space anymore. And then we move down to just above the belly button, the abdominal space, of any ill will or anything that doesn't serve it anymore. And then we move to our legs and feet, cleansing these legs, this leg and foot of any ill will, anything that doesn't serve it anymore, any place it's gone that doesn't serve it anymore. And then we do the other leg, cleansing it of any ill will or anything that doesn't serve it anymore, of where it's been, that doesn't serve it anymore. And then I like to just circle myself. I circle myself 3 times, cleansing the body as a whole of any ill will or anything that doesn't serve it anymore. And then I like to do my shoulders as well. I seem to carry a lot of stuff in my shoulders, so just cleansing that area of anything I'm carrying with me. So then after you do your cleanse of your body, put your hands upon the earth and just bow to the earth. Thank you, Mother Earth, for all that you give us. Thank you for grounding us every day, for the feminine, for feeding us and sheltering us and clothing us every day, for the diversity of all the forms, yet the unity and oneness of us all. May we tread lightly upon you and honor you and love you, Mother Earth. Thank you for all that you give us. And so now, at this point, I would continue with my prayer, the prayers that I do every day. But I wanted to touch a little bit more about the cleansing. Try to do it every day if you can, for a week or two, and really get into the rhythm of it and the releasing of the thoughts. Make it so that it's almost a habit, because once you learn how to empty the mind and just learn how to cleanse oneself, then you can start to add some things to it. And what I mean by that is sage is very cleansing. You can use some sweetgrass. So in other words, if you wanted to add some sweetness into your meditation, you can use sweetgrass and just cut a little bit of the sweetgrass into there if you wanted to bring some sweetness into the ceremony or into whatever it is that you were doing. Okay? So now you're going to smell the sweetgrass coming up into this sage. The other thing you can do, this is just a blend that I have. There's a lot of lavender in here, so you can add lavender if, say, you want some calming effects, because lavender is very calming. This is also white sage. A lot of people like to burn with white sage, so maybe you want to bring some white sage into it. I find white sage is a little bit more difficult to burn just by itself, but if you use if you mix it together, then it burns really well. The other things you can use is I have a hard time with pronouncing this. It's a wood. I'm not going to say it right, so I'm not even going to bash it. But you can add that if you want. So what I'm saying is you can add different herbs. You could use pine needles. Pine needles are very cleansing as well. So you can add different things to your smudging, to your cleansing and your burning, depending on what kind of energy you want to bring into it. So perhaps you're going to do a ceremony, or you have a patient or a client coming over that needs some quieting and mellowing. They're really hyper, you want to keep them calm, then you might want to add the lavender. Or perhaps it's a real bitter situation, so maybe you want to add some sweetgrass. So these are just different things you can do. The other thing that you can do once you get down with just the basics of smudging and cleansing, is when you're going through your cleanse, I like to do my chakras while I'm at it. So when I'm up here, I'll go ahead and cleanse my crown chakra, and I'll cleanse the third eye and the throat, the heart focus, a lot on the fire and the water, and then the first chakra, the earth chakra. So you can add different places. Woo! Now it's really burning. I must need a cleanse. So yeah, you can add different things to it, and you can focus on different parts of your body, like I was saying, if your stomach was upset and so forth. But at first, I think it's good to learn how to just let go and allow the spirits to do the work for you. So I think that's basically what I wanted to teach you. Now, if you're going to cleanse other people, I like to have a fan or a feather. This is a sharp-shinned hawk wing that the poor bird hit our window and passed away outside of my house. And I got permission. I journeyed to the hawk and got permission to use his wing. And my husband made this beautiful handle out of some walnut that was from a farm that my parents used to have, my grandparents actually. And so if you're going to cleanse others, depending if it's just one person, again, you want to set your intention to be clear, because you aren't the one actually doing the cleansing to the person. You need to open yourself up and allow the spirits to cleanse. Because when you start getting ego involved, you may think you know what that person needs, but it's actually the spirits that know what that person needs. So allow the spirits to do the cleansing. And you can just go, if it's one person, with one hand, and disperse the smoke in the same manner that you did when you were doing your own personal cleansing with your hands and your arms. Then you go to their head and their heart and you work your way down. Now, if you have 20 people in the room, you may not have the time to go to each person individually, and that's where this kind of an implement comes really easily. And you can cleanse the person quickly. The group has a beautiful sound to it. You can almost hear it still flying. So there's different things you can do with cleansing. I basically just wanted to teach you the basics of it, because it's a beautiful ritual to do. Like I said, I try to do it every morning. I'm not saying I do it every morning. There's some days I don't have the time and so forth, but I miss it when I don't do it. You can also cleanse spaces, if you move into a new house or new apartments or something, you can cleanse that space. So allow the spirits to cleanse out any energy that doesn't serve you anymore in that space. You can cleanse pieces of art. So in other words, when I do a piece of jewelry or something, and after I'm done with that piece of jewelry, a lot of times I'll come down and I'll just take the piece off, and I'll just, let the spirits cleanse that piece of the energy. Because, a lot of the pieces I'm using, like I'm using fur and different stones, those all carry different energies. And so I want to get that energy cleared out so that I'm bringing my own energy to this piece. So this piece, I wear it every day, is going to start to collect my energy, and if you were going to gift it or somebody else was going to wear it, it's going to have a lot of my energy in there. So, and sometimes if maybe you buy a piece of jewelry from or something from a secondhand store, you really don't know what kind of energy that piece has or where it's been. So you might want to cleanse it. Cleanse it, yeah. And every full moon, I do a ceremony with some of my spirit teachers, and we cleanse my space. So there's a full moon coming up this Friday, and I'm going to do a full moon ceremony where I just go and we cleanse all of my tools. It's really good to cleanse your tools and stuff if you do shamanic work. Just cleanse them, because they build up energy over time, and sometimes you need to let that energy go. Thank you. Virtual hug.